What I'd like to do now is run through the rods, reels and bobbin setup that I'm using this morning. On this right hand rod, I'm fishing a choddy, and I'm fishing a relatively slack line in that sort of choddy style. It's a naked choddy, and I've got the stow bobbin set with no extra weight, and the bobbin's quite sensitive. I've got the Delkim set on their sensitive setting, and you can see any little movement is giving me an indication. I've had a few fish this morning brush through the lines, and I'm getting a little trembling on there. So that's this right hand rod. The middle rod, I'm fishing across to the far tree line. Now, at that sort of distance, maybe 80 or 90 yards, it's more important to fish with your lines a bit tighter, or I reckon. So I've got the extra weight on the stow bobbin, and I'm fishing with that quite tight. And what I've had in the last couple of days, the bites on this rod, rather than being screamers, the fish have come back towards me, and so I'm getting a drop on the bobbin. So I fish it fairly tight. If the fish pulls up, you get a good indication, but if it comes back towards you, it drops. And as I say, I've had the couple of bites I've had on this rod yesterday, they've been drop backs. On the left-hand rod, which is my banker at the moment, I'm fishing about 50 yards across to the margins over the far bank. I've got the stow bobbin set with no extra weight, and it's a sort of a hybrid between the two positions. It's neither at the top or right down. And what I'm finding on there, I've had some fish that are running away from me up the margin. They're pulling up tight like that, and those other fish are coming back this way, and the bobbin drops. So I have that set midway. All three of the Delkims are set today, the wind's down, so I've got them on sensitive settings. Particularly on this rod, I've got the stow bars, and they're great use on here because I'm fishing across to my left. If I get a really angry take, that rod's pulling about a bit, and these just give me the extra security that I know the rod's not going to bounce off the rest. So that's the stow bars. The rods and reels I'm using for this session are Daiwa Infinity 3 3/4 pound test curve rods. I bought these 3 or 4 years back for a spot I was fishing where I was casting quite a long way. I'm no big caster, as you guys will all know, but I reckon the fish were about 130 yards out, so I bought these rods on the recommendation from the guys at Corda, and I loved them. And now I'm using them for just about all of my fishing. They're so versatile. A couple of weeks ago, I was stalking in the blue pool. I was using these, never had a hook pull, 15 or so fish out. I've been using them here. You can cast bags, you can cast choddies, so brilliant rods from that respect. You can cast anything you put on the end. The other thing I really like about them, in this sort of weedy water, you've got a little bit extra pressure on the fish. You wind down on a 2 3/4 pound test curve rod on a weeded fish, and you put a massive bend in your rod, and you're likely to break it. And if you're trying to cast with a 2 3/4 ounce rod and you've got a big bag, you're also putting too much strain on the rod. So these rods are perfect for that. The reels, these are Daiwa Entos, and I've loaded them up with the 20-pound subline. Setup I've got now 100% confidence in, so well worth giving this stuff a go.